Yo, it's a new bay, and it's the conscious way. Yo, it's a new bay, a new bay. We've got the tools to free your mind, so come on, it's time to shine. Be a new bay. We've got the healing that you want, so come on, create your life with a new bay.
This is the Space is the Place Network, and you're now listening to A New Day with A New Bay podcast, a podcast about our relationship with self, the collective, and spirit, and how we can become a new being or a new being, go beyond us, and have affairs with our side spirit for healing and wellness. I am your host, Khem, Anu Naki.
And I am Lahoma, JeFaye.
And we are A New Bay. Bars that went together, Khem Anu Naki and Lahoma JeFaye, and we are A New Bay. Boom. Nice ring to it. So I would like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen and support our show. This show is, this is our second show, season 1, episode 2, entitled Past Lives Matter in the Melanated Experience. So this show is a part of our Spaces the Place network. So you can find the show on Facebook, IG, and YouTube. Just go to the search bar and type at Spaces the Place, and that's S-P-A-S-E. As you can see, A-S-E, Ashe, S-P-A-S-E is the place. Once we surpass 1,000 subscribers or followers that are truly supporting our cause, we'll break off and create our own separate platform for A New Bay. So at the moment, it's just me working behind the scenes, doing the marketing, the post-production and all of that, the graphics. So it's like, hey, let me lessen the workload. So so it's just a part of Space is a Place at the point. It'll always be with Space is a Place, but we'll break off sooner than later and have our own platform. All right. So topics of discussions for today. Segment number 1, becoming a new being or becoming a new being. We'll talk about Lahoma and I's past life crossing that we had, the reading. We'll talk about what we gained from it, as well as how we applied what we learned this week. Segment 2, we'll talk about going beyond us. We'll talk about past lives and shifting the consciousness of our people, past lives for empowerment of our people, and past life memories, identity shifts, and the rejecting of today's labels. So we'll get into that discussion. And then segment 3, affairs with the side spirit. We'll do a visualization of what it would look like if our people understood reincarnation and past lives. All right. So we can go ahead and jump into it. Segment number 1, becoming a new being or becoming a new being. All right. So our reading, I'll just run down the highlights from the reading because we got a great deal from the reading. I do want to shout out Brian and Golbahar. Let me get their information. It's a Akashic Resource, right? Because I did not, it just popped in my head. Let me shout them out so they can, if someone wants to get their
Akashic Resources on Facebook.
Akashic Resources on Facebook.
I'm saying that's the name on Facebook. Okay. Akashic Resources.
All right, and that's A-K-A-S. Put me on the spot. I can't spell.
I can't even get it out. A-K-A-S-H-I-C.
A-K-A-S-H.
I see.
Yeah, Akashic Records. Because I was like, in my head, I'm like, I've not seen it because I'm trying to focus on like, okay, the notes for the show and all that. And I was like, okay, spelling is not popping right now in my brain, in my mind. So, but I don't want to mess it up. Be like, yeah, it's A-K-B-R. And it's like, oh boy, the brother can't spell. So I was like, let me chill out and trying to spell it.
I was about to say something, but I'm learning to be different. I'm learning to be different.
Okay. Be different. Don't be the old you.
What you say?
Don't be the old you.
Right, a new bay. That's why we here, right? That's why we're here.
So yeah, so Brian and Golbahar with Akashic Resources. Would it happen to be AkashicResources.com? Do they have a website? Because I know on Facebook, they have the Facebook page and yeah, the Facebook page. I'm assuming you're looking it up.
I think they have. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I didn't see it on their webpage. I'm on their Facebook page right now, and
yes, it is. It is
I just see an email. I just see an email. It doesn't say anything about a website.
Yeah, it's AkashicResources.com. I just went to the website.
Okay.
So pardon me, forgive me for not having that readily available. It just popped in my head when I was about to go into the reading. I'm like, yeah, let me give them a shout out. And so somebody is asking like, okay, how can I get a past life reading? And they have several readings. You can get an individual reading on your past life. Me and Lahoma got a past life crossing, which pretty much is what were we in a previous life. I'm reading the message. What were we in a previous life, and what did we experience, and then how that carries over in today's incarnation. So yeah, so AkashicResources.com. That's AKASHIC Resources, RESOURCES.com. Akashic Resources, and again, that's Brian and Golbahar. So definitely hit them up for a reading, and they got several readings that they do. So back to our reading. So I'm just going to go down the timeline of the sequence of events that happened in regards to our reading. So this takes place in 1100 BC in Australia. So Lahoma and I were sisters back then. So we had the same father, but different mothers. Our father was an advisor to the elder tribesmen. And correct me if I say anything wrong as I go down the sequence of events. We connected at 7 for the most part. 7 years of age is when we really connected, because we were a part of different tribes, different mothers, same father. So we connected at 7 and really began to connect and hang out and things to that nature. Soon after, we would explore Australia, explore different tribes. And at 10, we met an individual that grew plants that were of medicinal and psychedelic in nature. We helped care for the plants and fused our consciousness with those plants. We did have a spiritual ceremony where that involved the psychedelics. So it was like an initiation of sorts. And Lahoma saw her past lives, saw herself as a spiritual warrior and a leader. I had similar revelations, met my inner self. I was awakened to leadership capacity and expanded thinking. We didn't know how to apply this knowledge because we were still young. I think by this time we were like 15 years of age. We didn't know how to apply this knowledge because it was new, a new type of information and knowledge and wisdom. So we did not know at that time how to use that. At that same time, a famine and a viral disease would strike our area, which caused destruction. And during this time, we felt that this was a perfect time to use what we've learned. So I noticed that there was a need to learn and lead from within. I created excursions to open up the consciousness of the people. And I think we both did it, but you were more so with the plants. I forgot in regards to the specifics, but you and
I was more the curious one, asking all the questions and really taking initiative to really explore it and understand it. Mm-hmm. And you were the one that really developed the skill of understanding how to pair plants with different people depending on their ailments.
Got you. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't want to give myself credit and it was actually you, or give you the credit and it was actually me. So I wanted to get clarity. I know we spoke about this prior to the show, And I just wanted to, just to make sure. So, so the violence did lessen and the consciousness did grow within amongst the tribes, and that we provided the opportunities for the healing. So we never married. We didn't have any children, and I know we both withdrew around the same time, meaning we both passed away. You passed away due to weaknesses in the lungs, and then I passed away shortly after due to issues, circulatory issues, and as well as issues with the heart. And our names. What was your name in 1100 BC in Australia? What was your name?
Rowena.
Rowena.
Rowena or Rowana, something like that, like Walona from Good Times.
A great ideal image for our sisters. Shout out to Walona
exactly.
from Good Times. And my name was Saquana or Saquan. So yeah, so that's a brief breakdown of our past life reading in regards to the story. Now, they give you the reading, and then they have their set of questions that they ask, or Brian asks Golbahar, because Golbahar is the one that's tapping into the Akashic records and pulling this information from the records. Now, if you don't know what the Akashic records are, it's like a library of sorts within the subconscious, deep into the subconscious mind. Correct me if I'm wrong as I'm explaining this, but it's a library. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So library.
Like the collective consciousness, though.
Okay, that's a better word to use than the library, but the collective.
Well, it's still a library, but I feel like it's very important to put like the collective consciousness, because it's like, you know how you go to the library and then they have the files where you go and you look up the number for a particular, like they have it cataloged. So everything's cataloged as far as my life, and then I have like a file cabinet, you have a file cabinet, but it's the library of life. Everybody's stuff is in the same library.
Right.
I guess. That makes sense?
Yeah. It clarifies, it makes sense, and it clarifies and it simplifies, not clarifies and it simplifies how one would tap into the Akashic record, pull someone's file, and then open up the books to figure out, okay, this lifetime match it with this entity, and then they'll go pull the other person, and then they'll look and see, okay, as it relates to this lifetime, which lifetime matches up to the current moment that the two people are experiencing. In our case, it's the two people that are experiencing life. So it's a library of history, the history of everything. So if you are trained, you can tap in and pull from that yourself, and then, or you can just go, get readings from people like Brian and Golbahar, who can assist and give you that type of information. So they give you the reading, then they have questions in regards to, I think the one after that was, how does this lifetime or that lifetime transfer over to this lifetime? Then Golbahar will go into the significance of the past lifetime as it relates to this lifetime. And I think there was like one more question, and then you're able to ask several questions, up to 5 questions, of what you want to know while she's in this trance state, tapping into the Akashic records. So I'll delve into that. So it ties into what we learned or what we took from the reading. So I'll just give like some of the answers from the reading that I can go over, and then we'll talk about what we got personally from the reading. That makes sense? Is that cool? Is that cool?
It is. I was like, I don't remember us talking about how much detail we was given on these questions, but go ahead. I was processing what questions we asked, but it's general information, so it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, take that back. Because again, right before we started the show, I remember I was highlighting and stuff like that. So I took, now what I was about to say was I got stuff for both of us, but I actually got stuff for just me. So you could go ahead and go into what you took, and then what I got highlighted was actually just for me. So boom. Okay. So you want to start off with what you received from the reading, like what you took from it?
You meaning what I took from it, not necessarily, just in general.
In general, and some things that you probably, if you wanted to share, things to work on, things that you took and what was given to you to begin to work on.
Okay. So the first thing that I really got from it was it affirmed what I already knew. It's like, I keep going, you know, searching and waiting for somebody to tell me something different or tell me something extra. Mm-hmm. It's all the same. A lot of the stuff, I knew it. I felt it for years. And so it was very affirming, and it really helped build my confidence and my understanding of myself, and accepting myself and my power, as a healer, as a spiritual being. It gave me clear answers, gave me a lot of clarity about different behaviors that I have, that I've always known that I've had, but it gave me clear answers and steps in order to navigate those behaviors, whether it's a strength or a weakness. And for the most part, I really appreciated the remedies for the weaknesses, because a lot of times, you know, I'd always hear my whole life, you so hard on yourself, you too serious, you too hard on yourself. What it look like not to be hard on myself? Like people be like, just be easy, just be easy. What that look like? What are action steps to be easy? So it gave, the reading gave me a lot of information as far as how to move through releasing different behaviors that either were not serving me, or embracing those that I already have that I wasn't necessarily using as much as I could use. Let's see. Oh, what I was looking for, I already had it. So I knew in my mind, and I've told you this before, in my mind, I was like, okay, I know what I came here to do. I know I'm this facilitator. I create this space. I can hold the space. I get that. But I need somebody that can balance that can, you know, give me what I need to, as far as support, to be able to do that. But I thought it was going to come as far as like a mate, a romantic mate, or, you know, relationship. And it was like, this whole time, it was you. Based upon the reading, it was like, I've been looking at this all wrong. And so it really opened me up to look at not only our relationship, but to look at all of my relationships, to be like, okay, I know I have this relationship with this person. I have this relationship with this person. Like, how can we support each other? What are our weaknesses? What are our strengths? So that we can be whatever we need to be for each other, without me having to be like, it needs to look a certain way. It needs to look like this, or I don't want it. I don't want to play. I don't want no part of it if it ain't gonna look the way I want it to look. Right. So it really opened me up to be flexible, and to be open to how things manifest, what things are going to look like, because it may not look the way I thought it was going to look when it manifests or whatever. So yeah, that's what I got for the most part out of the reading.
Okay, a quick question for you, because you said, what does that look like in regards to you being hard on yourself? You know, what does it look like not being hard on yourself? Would you say that if you weren't hard on yourself, you wouldn't be challenging yourself? Would that be an angle that one could take in regards to, like, because I'm hard on myself. So, and it pops up in my head, like, when you said that, like, what does that look like? Like, people be saying this, but what does it look like for me to be easy? So it's like, in my head, I'm like, okay, would that be me not challenging myself? Because I can look at me being hard on myself as me challenging myself. Would you feel the same way, or?
You can look at it that way. But for me personally, what I've learned, the thing is, the pattern that I saw within me as far as being hard on myself, it was a judgmental process that I learned growing up because I was trying to be I was a perfectionist. I was trying to be the best, and I still can see that in different areas of my life because I didn't compete with anybody else. I was competing with myself. I was trying to be the best version of myself, period, regardless of what it was. And so if I wasn't good at it, I heard about it. Like I let myself know how I felt about it. And it didn't necessarily help that I grew up in a household where I felt like I didn't get the attention, even like the straight A's and all the awards and accolades that I received at, going through school. I still didn't feel like I got the recognition from my family, especially my parents. So it pushed me that much more because I was seeking for outside validation versus just knowing within me, I'm good.
Right.
And so that's why for me, I say it was more than just challenging myself. It was very self-critical, even like when I would complete stuff and it's like, okay, yeah, I graduated salutatorian. I was on to the next thing. You want to know what I did? I went to college and it was like, okay, I'm gonna graduate in 3 years. Like I was just constantly pushing the envelope, trying to, how much better can I be?
Right.
And so that caused a lot of stress, a lot of unnecessary stress. Because at the end of the day, I was already smart. I was already doing what I needed to do. But I was really pushing harder than, what was necessary. And again, it was based on outside validation. Yeah, I graduated in 3 years, but then it became this competition. They would talk about, oh, you graduating the same time as your brother, your older brother. And it was like, this ain't even about him. Like it became something else. And so it was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it can be, challenging yourself, but you got to look at the extent of that push, that challenge, I guess. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Because I share the same sentiment in regards to my pops being hard on me in regards to like, okay, I bring home A's, straight A's, and it'd be like 98, 96, 95, and it's like, oh, that's good, but you could have got 100, you could have got hundreds, and then it's like if you get hundreds, then you can get 105. So it was just like that was my point of like having to go above and beyond because it's never going to be good. So that's where my me being hard on myself comes from. And then you're right in regards to like, hey, you're already what you're wanting to be. You just have to look at yourself, and then you pretty much have to accept yourself, and then move on from there.
Right.
So yeah, so thanks for that. I just wanted to throw that out there because when you said that, I'm like, do I need to stop challenging myself? I started looking at myself.
So I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever seen 105 on the I almost cussed. Have you ever seen 105 on the report card?
No.
Anything over 100, like
it's like that's the stopping point. We got
A plus, but it's like, come on, fam.
Why? And I'm pretty sure if my pops watch this, he's gonna be like, I never told you that. We never had that conversation. I never even pulled the belt out on you. He probably go that.
Pops and 105.
Right. Well, he pushed me to be better, so I appreciate that. So it's like now I'm aware, and I have my accolades and things like that. So it's appreciative that the push was there for me to take it to the next level. So I can have gratitude for that. So what I took from the readings, the key thing was the leadership. And as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this is actually both of ours. But creation, or the leadership, that stood out for the most part. The leadership, and then also my ability to create many ideas, slow to move and act, and then, you know, understanding that it's okay to fail, to quicken my ability to evolve and accelerate my growth. So that was like one of the key things that I took from the thing, because that's like pinpoints some of the things that I can assess in my day-to-day, you know. And then another thing I'll add before I go into that is, like, with these readings, you can't, well, like I say, it's hard for you to rule it out as like, oh, they just making up something, when you can't really just rule it out when it's like so much on point to your life.
Right.
It's like, I don't know Brian and Golbahar like that, to where they know me, to where they can be like, yeah, let me just throw this out there because, you know, or we didn't give them no birthday, we just gave them our names, and they went in. There was no, what's your birthday, what time you were born, to where they can go pull
up the,
a birth chart.
And
Right. And it was like right on the spot, because it's like we get on the phone with them or get on the Zoom with them, and then like, okay, search for the entity known as this, search for the entity known as this. And then she goes in, and then she pulls that information and, you know, pretty much streams it back to the person the people that's listening to it. So it's like, being that it's so spot on, it's like, okay, how do they know this? They can't know this. It's like, so it's just one of those things you just have to sit with and be like, okay, there's some truth to it, because you just read my whole, like, how do you know that leadership, which is something I'm working on, being slow to respond, you know, being okay, it's okay to fail, to quicken. So it's like, okay, yeah, that does definitely suit me in regards to what I'm experiencing. So I just want to throw that tidbit out there. But the leadership, and then the acting, taking action and not hesitating. That was something that, you know, that stood out for me, as well as, let me see. So yeah, I'll just leave it at those two things. Those are the two key things that I took from the reading. And it's like, I'll go ahead and segue into the next part, like taking those. Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, based upon what they said, as far as like you being a leader and stuff, like, how did that impact, is not the word. How did it feel, I guess, based upon what you've experienced in this life, to hear what they said about being a leader? Like, how did you take that on or interpret that as far as what you've experienced so far?
Definitely spot on. You know, me being in the management space, that the manager position that I am now for the past couple of years, and working my way up to that, me creating different projects to where I'm, in a sense, leading, taking charge of these projects and putting out content dealing with various things over the course of 15 years. Me being a teacher at CSL Dallas, you know, that's a sense of leadership. Being a spiritual advisor / mentor, mentoring for the youth advocacy program, being a leader in that sense, doing workshops and things like that, whether it be when I was in Atlanta doing workshops, helping people to open their mind up about the future of music, or whether I was doing teaching courses at the School of Metaphysics, being a peace ambassador. I was a leader in that. I was the only peace ambassador at the School of Metaphysics here in Dallas. So I was a leader in that sense, and how I was able to create different situations to bridge the gap, or bring together different organizations. me doing workshops just independently, you know, teaching about the mind and things like that for organizations just on my own. So just being a leader in that sense, so it all ties into that. So when I hear that, it's like, okay, as you were saying, okay, yeah, this is something I'm already doing. And it just strengthens that connection to be able to move forward in that space. But on top of that, I know we've had conversations in regards to me saying, like, I don't want to teach. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to step back and do my own thing. I just want to focus on me. You was getting at that? You was getting at that?
It's like you're this big leader, but you're like,
I don't want.
I don't want no part of it. I just want fame. I want the money, the car.
No, let me clarify. Let me clarify for people be like, oh, he talking about he ain't no role model. So it's like sounding like Charles Barkley, if you understand what Charles Barkley said in the past. But it's not that I don't want to be a leader. It's more so the responsibility of being responsible for other people. That's where I pretty much draw the line and create boundaries because of what I've seen up until this point of like, okay, yeah, everybody is not meant for everybody to change. Everybody is not wanting to change. There are people that say they want to change and have that desire, just like people, December 31st is like, yeah, we about to go to this gym and work out. So, and then, you know, like they jump into it and then they just fall off after a week or so. So it's like seeing that over and over in regards to spiritual climates where, you know, I'm around people, classes start off full, and then as we advance more and more and more, the classes get smaller and smaller. People jump up and be like, yeah, you know, I want to get down with you and, you know, learn and da-da-da-da. And then over time, it's like they just start falling by the wayside. So it's like, even at me as a manager, it's like having to be responsible for other people. It's like, okay, if you don't show up to work, you need to get let go. But policies now are like, well, you got to give people a chance and you got to find other approaches. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I can do that because I'm all about adjusting and, you know, taking different approaches. But at the same time, it comes a point in time, it's like, hey, these folks need to, you know, keep it moving. So it's like, I don't have time to really be sitting and holding your hand the whole time. So go ahead. I see that you're anxious to
I'm excited. So listen, what's the movie? Remember the Titans?
Mm-hmm.
Is it attitude reflects leadership?
I didn't even see that movie, but I've
seen what? No. With Denzel?
No, I ain't seen that. Let me go ahead and sign off. You can go ahead and finish this show. I haven't seen it.
There's a scene where they're arguing back and forth, the two stronger players on the team. Mm-hmm. And so the captain was telling the other guy, pretty much he was like, you're such a good player, but you know, you don't even do this and you don't do that or whatever. And he was like, attitude reflects leadership. Mm-hmm. And so the guy had to like sit with that. And it's like, oh, you know, because at the end of the day, remember the Titans, it's like the white players against the black players. Mm-hmm. And so this was a white captain going in on a black player. And so he was like, look, you know, we'll change when you change. And mm-hmm. so it shifted everything because once they started to work together, then the rest of the team started to come together. But that wasn't necessarily the point I was trying to make. Go back to what were you saying before?
Me not wanting to lead. I mean, me not wanting to be responsible.
Okay, so let's talk about responsibility. What does it mean when you say you're responsible for other people, or you don't want to be responsible for others? What does that responsibility mean to you?
When it comes to, like, I'll just take my job for instance, me being a property manager. I'm a property manager. I manage apartments. So me being responsible for other people. So it's like, okay, if I sit and train you and I sit and give you the blueprints and the templates to use to be more effective and efficient, and then you're not getting it, of course, so like, okay, we'll give you a little bit more attention. Now, with the nature of our industry, how things are fast paced and, you know, multitasking at an all-time high, it's required of you. I can't really sit with you, like, I don't have that type of time to really just be sitting with you. Now, if I've carved out time at the beginning and then I've, you know, chimed in, you know, to give you a little bit more, there comes a point in time where you have to be self-sufficient and be responsible for yourself. So it gets to a point where down the line, if I'm unable to really let you go and we're giving these people all these chances, if the productivity of the property or the performance of the property is not where ownership wants it to be, it falls back on me. Regardless, I can be like, okay, well, you know, I'm not the type of person to really throw people under the bus like that. So I try to do what I can. And if it gets to the point, I'll just take on those responsibilities, because at the end of the day, I still have to provide the results. So I will jump in and just do the work for the most part, just so the numbers would continue to improve. So I'm not just not doing it and throwing somebody under the bus saying, well, they don't show up to work or they don't understand. So it's like, it gets to a point where after so long, I feel like, well, I shouldn't have to be responsible for somebody that's not carrying their weight. And that's where it becomes an issue with me, to where it's like, okay, how do you approach that situation of being responsible for somebody that's not wanting to level up and be self-sufficient? And if they continue to stay on my team, then again, I have to be responsible for that. So it's like a conflict of policies in regards to the corporate world. Go ahead, what you got? It's like, you're about to hit me with some wisdom. What you got?
All right, so I'm just gonna hit you with some questions.
Go ahead.
So, okay, so responsibility, because before, earlier, we talked about actually like doing the work. Like, you may not feel like doing the spiritual practices or whatever the exercises are. You may not feel like doing it. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is, it's like, one of the things the reading talked about was how both of us in the past life, we were quick to write everybody off. Like, it was like, you know what, this environment is not working for us. You know what, let's roll. And we never really integrated back into the population or whatever. We went and did our own thing. And so it said that that was one of the things we needed to work on in this life, because it's like, we have to take care of home first, like whatever's going on within us, as well as I'm teaching a class right now called Magic of the Soul. And one of the things the book talks about is how we each have our own personality. And so we're each evolving our ego and our personality spiritually. And as we evolve individually, we evolve the collective, right? Mm-hmm. And so it makes me ask you the question, if that's the case, do you believe that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then am I my brother's keeper? If I'm evolving myself, and because I'm evolving myself, I'm evolving the collective, am I my brother's keeper? Is there some responsibility as far as, you know, the people I interact with, the people around me? There's a level of responsibility, right? Okay. So then, say that again?
Yes, a level of responsibility, yes.
Right. I'm not saying it's complete responsibility, but there's a level of responsibility. So it's a matter of really acknowledging that and embracing it, versus I don't want no responsibility. Like, I don't want no level of responsibility. And I only say that because that's one of the things that I've struggled with myself, because people are always telling me to start a nanny business where I have nannies to go, you know, hire to families. And I was like, nope, because I don't want to be responsible for pairing a nanny with a family and that nanny does something that I wouldn't do. And it's like, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. The whole point is, if I'm working on my consciousness, and because consciousness is thought. I mean, thought is cause. There we go. Thought is cause. So if in my consciousness, the thought is I bring people to me that have the maternal instinct and that don't necessarily operate completely like me, but they have, you know, similar values and that kind of stuff. They're going to look out for the best interests of the child, all of that stuff. Then that's where I need to stay. And I can create a business that will, again, provide nannies and childcare professionals that will benefit other families versus just being like, I don't want no part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just invite you to sit with that or to contemplate that, because again, the other deal is I've noticed you talked about you know, being the manager and, you know, the team and stuff, and it's almost as if it sounds like it's like, well, I told them what they need to do, they ain't doing it, so they need to go.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But there's no forgiveness, there's no compassion, there's no empathy, there's no, you know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, well, what you say?
So let's not rule out the time where there was the empathy and compassion to say, hey, me actually talking with them and saying, hey, what do you guys need from me? Like, let's not just make it seem like
okay, you're right.
I can't take it.
You're right. You're right. You did. And I would say just the same way you were like, there are going to be times where you just don't feel like it. You don't feel like doing the practices. Like, have that same like mindset, because again, you're like, man, F it. Like, I ain't feel like doing it. I ain't want to do it. Well, they like, well, I don't feel like working.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Just like see it from both sides,
yes,
so that, because that's how you shift it in consciousness and get a different outcome. Because it's like, oh, well, if I'm getting this because of I'm viewing it this way, well, how can I shift it within myself, just how I view my practices? Because if I shift it in my practices, then this other thing over here that have nothing to do with my practices can show up differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because everything is a mirror of you, so it'll shift how you shift. So yeah. Right. So to take it in a different, don't even say a different direction, but to add on to what you were saying, I know that I've created this situation, and it stems from me wanting to save, the mentality to try to save everybody, to try to uplift everybody. So having that mentality in the past has created these situations to where I'm a teacher over here, I'm a property manager over here, I'm a peace ambassador over here, to where I'm the intent is to raise the vibration of everyone that not that I attract, but you know, if I step in front of this person, I'm gonna do what I can to you know, uplift them with like with the youth advocacy program, with mentoring young brothers who are on the path of, you know, going to prison just based off their behavior, and actually having run-ins with police and things like that. It's like, okay, yeah, if I just, you know, step in here and teach them metaphysics and, you know, how to change the mind, then, you know, they'll be on board. And then it's like, when I don't get the results, then it's like, that's, you know, I try to push a little bit harder, but then it's like that resistance. So again, it's me coming to that realization that it's like, yeah, I created this, and it's based off of that intention of wanting to try to uplift and save everyone. And it's like, now it might come off as like, I don't want to do it no more. It's more so me adjusting and saying, okay, as you were saying, I want to attract this type of person or these type of people that are receptive to growth. Like me and you have been friends for 6 years. So we like the conversation we're having right now, this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. So there is no resistance, there is no attachment to, although the reading did mention that, me being attached to people fulfilling their goals, I have an attachment to that. So
it said me, because it was like it was when I was asking about me feeling like you were pushing my buttons, like as far as the growth.
Right.
So yeah, it was saying that you be flexible and open to like to offer suggestion, but not be attached to the outcome as
Right.
far as me actually listening to your suggestion.
Right. So that's where we've had this conversation, it comes to the root cause being me being attached to the end result of wanting people to grow. And it did say I was aggressive in pushing people, aggressive in thinking, and
They
yeah,
used the word aggressive, or was it assertive? It was aggressive?
it was either one. I think it was assertive.
I was
And
gonna say I don't remember aggressive.
I wrote it down. Let me see what it was. Or I think I just picked it up today as I listened. It was either assertive or aggressive, and that's just my nature. So when I don't see the results, I guess that's when I fall back over time and be like, okay, I just don't want to do this no more. So I think that's the root of the conversation at hand in regards to me not wanting to be responsible for other people past a certain degree. I guess we'll frame it that way, past a certain degree. So, boom.
But you a leader.
Huh?
You a leader. That's what you came here to do.
Yeah, and I've explained to you like, okay, this is the new approach in regards to the leadership, in regards to setting up spaces, the place, and being like, hey, we're gonna do it this way. I'm not gonna be preachy or trying to take on the role. However, I will still be an inspiration. I will still, through my, me being an example, and those that are receptive to whether it be a New Day, a New Bay podcast, whether it be Spaces the Place podcast, whether it be the other shows that I have underneath Spaces the Place podcast. Of course, I'm teaching, but it's from an entertainment standpoint. And those that are receptive to it, they'll come on board and be like, hey, I took what you said, I applied it, yada, 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 opposed to me putting myself in a position to teach it and to, quote unquote, expect being that I'm in this position. So it changes the dynamic. So that's how I've
take this information.
Say what?
You gonna take this information.
Right, you're gonna get this work. Right. So yeah, so I guess this covers the third part, just based on time, because we opened up to a whole different conversation that, of course, we didn't we didn't plan. Of course, that's just the nature of just conversation. This is what we do. That's why we be on the phone for like 3-4 hours.
I got excited. And I was like, oh no, I can't let him get by. I ain't gonna let this one.
Hold me accountable. So yeah, but that pretty much, it does answer like that's where I'm at now in regards to taking what I got from the reading and how I've been applying it, not just this week, but that's just my mentality and how I've been working through that. I know what that means.
Huh? What you say?
The timing, usually people say, like, if I say something, be like,
I didn't say that, but
the divine does not lie.
Because that was unconscious. That was a real sneeze.
Was it?
It was.
Or was that God speaking to you, to me?
Don't
know. You don't know.
It's your interpretation.
Perception.
You know whether you was lying or not.
All right, so we can go ahead and go into the second segment of Going Beyond Us. So us just meditating on past lives, and these questions came to mind. First is how would the understanding of past lives shift the consciousness of our people? So you want to take the lead, or do you want me to open it up?
Say that question again. How would
the understanding of how would the understanding of past lives shift the consciousness of our people?
So for me, it really helps if I were to just look at my understanding of past lives. It helps me to release a lot of unnecessary chatter, mental chatter, around whatever story I tell about myself or about life, how I thought life was supposed to be, or how it should be, or how I'm supposed to be, or how I should be, whatever. I can release a lot of that because, say, for example, in that life, we were in Australia, and we were little girls and with a tribe. And so I don't know what the tribe was or what the nationality was, but it's like, when I think about stuff like that, if, say, for example, in a past life, I was a white slave owner and now I'm in a black body. So I've been on both sides of, white and black. And so it helps me to have a lot more compassion, a lot more empathy, and be open to seeing the different sides of any situation or conversation, so that it's not all, no, this is the truth, or this is what's right, and this is the only way. And that's what gets us into what's happening today in society.
So yes, it does open your mind up to seeing it from different angles, different perspectives, having more compassion and empathy and things like that. I know I put that it lessens the attachments that we have with certain constructs that, that we've accepted. And you won't take the construct and embody it. However, you will use it as a means to empower you to move it forward. So just like you were saying, and it brought up that discussion was very interesting, because when we talk about reincarnation, and then on top of that, like with our past life reading, like we were in Australia, I was a woman. So it's like, you have the belief that, if you, and I've heard this conversation before, like in past lives, like you was always African. So it's like this lineage, like you have always been black, to where it resonates with you and it empowers you in this lifetime. But what about the idea of you possibly being white in a past life? And then you pretty much brought it up in regards to, what if you were a slave owner back then, and then now you're pretty much at the mercy of the injustices that are happening now. But that's karma for what you did in a past life as a slave owner, torturing Black lives. So now you're at the hands of the torture. So it's like that opens up the door for a whole different conversation. So like I said, again, me saying that it lessens us understanding past lives and how it can shift the consciousness of our people, saying that it lessens the attachment that we have to certain constructs, whether it be, and that opens the door to the next conversation, but mainly just us being attached to being Black. Not to say that it doesn't matter, I'm not saying that, but it just, the attachment to that, you're holding on to this idea. But like I said, what if you were white in a previous life? And then flipping it, like if you were, did you mention it, like if you were a Black slave and then now you have the white privilege? Right. So
that was like another conversation another day, when we were talking about what we were going to talk about today.
So it's just, like I said, it's just opening your mind up to see. And then, like I said, as you said, it opens up the door for you to see it on those levels. I
want to add into to really even understand, because it's almost like we live multiple lives even in this life. So I don't have to have a past life to experience karma, the other side of it. Does that make sense? Like, for example, just hypothetically speaking, if I was in a relationship and I was cheating on my mate, and then, fast forward years later, I get in another relationship and I'm faithful because I done figured out how to be faithful, but then that person cheat on me. So it's like, you could have the karma come back in the same life, without having, to have to deal with the whole past life thing or whatever.
Got you. That is true. Time is speeding up, and we are experiencing lessons.
Man.
What used to take several lifetimes is now taking like 6 months.
A blink. A
6
blink.
months. Especially this year. Shout out to 2020.
Man. I'm like March, when everything shut down, that's when everything was just like, oh, are we dealing with this now? Okay. All right, we got to deal with the shadow self now.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
That's all you had. You couldn't, people wasn't working. They wasn't going nowhere.
Got to sit down and sit with yourself. See yourself. So yes. So taking it a step further, of course, the shift in consciousness. So how can past lives empower our people?
I would say for me, seeing what's here for me now, what's in this moment, whether to learn, whether to experience, whether to release, embrace, whatever, being fully present in the experience to see what is here for me. And not only for me, but for the collective consciousness as well.
And I put, more ease, more flow, more understanding, and more power. And then just taking the example of the conversation that we just had, like me and you and I are both self-aware. We're very aware of ourselves. And, as you said, in regards to what you took from it, is like, they pretty much told me stuff that I already know, but it's pretty much having them bring it back to the forefront for the most part. So just the exchange that we had in regards to me with the whole responsibility, being a leader, is like, that's what the empowerment is. So it's like, okay, yeah, I already know that I'm within me, I'm a leader. And then me having the conversation with you, and then you knowing me, that empowers me that causes me to go within, just based off the exchange that we just had, me to go within and really assess and be like, oh, okay, it's me not, or me trying to take on more, or trying to, again, the attachment, because they did bring that up in the reading, the attachment to the results, which I tied back into the leadership. So it's like, that's empowering, because now I see it it brings it back to the forefront, and then now I can take that and work with it and begin to make the necessary shifts to change the dynamic that I'm experiencing right now, especially with my job. So it's like, that's where the empowerment comes in, because not only am I aware, but I can go deeper with that, sit with it, and then begin to, again, make the necessary adjustments to change what's in front of me, as well as learn the lesson to, relieve myself from the karma, if that makes sense. So we can segue to the third part, the third question, which is something that as we're talking more and more about past lives, and my attention is on that. The question: could this explain the reason why people are refusing to identify with or conform to labels that society has placed on us? So, as I said, like with Afrofuturism, like me doing, research pre Spaces to Place, just me getting it back in, or getting into delving deeper into Afrofuturism. One of the first things that I stumbled upon was that, like race, gender, as well as time, these are all constructs. These are all something that are man-made, and they're pretty much illusions for the most part. So that I question, like, okay, once we remove the constructs, then what? And then from a spiritual standpoint, we're taught that we are spirit, we're not the body. We are the spirit, and the spirit is light. Yes, so we are light, energy, spirit, however you want to approach it. So it's hold on a second. So yeah, so it's like however you want to approach it.
Calling right now.
Huh? You say what?
I said, tell them don't be calling right now.
Don't disturb this groove. So yeah, so constructs. Where was I at? I kind of lost my train of thought. If we remove the constructs, and then being that from a spiritual standpoint, we're taught that we are light, energy, spirit, and then tying that into past lives is like understanding that timelines are now merging together simultaneously. Who's to say that what we're experiencing now with people feeling that they were born a male, now they're identifying as female, or they were born white and then they're feeling and identifying as black, or just whatever, that we can go down a list in regards to that. So it's like, who's to say that past lives and the timelines being merging simultaneously, that's could possibly, let me be very cautious with that, possibly be the cause of people feeling the way they're feeling and pretty much doing away with the constructs and these labels. So that was something that I threw out there, and I know we had a nice exchange in regards to that. Would you like to add anything to that?
What do you want me to add? I mean, to me, removing the constructs means freedom. That's it. Complete freedom. Mm-hmm. Let me have my experience. Because at the end of the day, it's mine. It ain't yours. Right. It's my experience. Mm-hmm. So it's like, who am I to tell somebody else that what they're feeling or what they're experiencing is not valid?
Right.
If it's not against life, if it's not harming themselves or anybody, what does it matter?
Right. Now, I can add to that. Now, using my own experience and tying in our past life reading that we had. So again, I was a woman in a past life, okay? And I passed away from heart problems, issues with the heart, right? Okay. So I don't identify as a woman. I don't feel that. However, I can say that I'm wanting to tap into my emotions more and be more vulnerable, more emotional, and instead of being as we put in the context being masculine, being like macho and things like that. I'm wanting to shift more into a more of an emotional, not going to the extreme, but just like, let me get in touch with that. And I know that me, in regards to my heart, not physically, but just from a spiritual standpoint, from a chakra standpoint, that I know that there are walls up around, my heart. And you already know I'm not a very emotional person. So yeah, you ain't got to make that face.
Just looked over there. I didn't say nothing.
Okay, all right. But yeah, I'm not an emotional person. So me wanting to tap into that, that's a level of, just me trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Me tying into what I said just a minute ago with the timelines merging simultaneously. So me playing the role, or not even playing the role, or channeling the energy of Saquon from Australia, me being a woman. So it's like me wanting to get in touch with my divine feminine, and me wanting to be more vulnerable, tap into my emotions to be able to express in different ways. And then also me wanting to get deeper into like the mind heart, what is that, heart math, heart math with the science of the heart, and how to open up my heart chakra to be able to receive and be able to feel. So I just want to throw that out there as a means to like I said, I'm not to the point where I'm feeling the way a lot, some people are feeling, but there are levels to it. And I can say honestly that, hey, I am feeling a certain type of way. in regards to me wanting to tap into the divine feminine, and then me wanting to open myself up in that sense and find balance. So I'll leave it on that note.
Well, so I would add, because I've like talked to different people about, like I knew somebody, I don't remember who it was. They said at some point, you know, one of their ankles was hurting. And so this was when I was doing my NLP training.
Okay.
And so they had hurt, one of their ankles was hurting, and they hadn't done anything for it to be injured. And so we're doing the NLP practices, there are different techniques you can use, but I think they used hypnosis, and they realized that in a parallel universe, like another life, they were traveling on like is it a carriage with the horse and carriage? And
Okay.
some kind of way they either fell off or stepped off of it in a way that they hurt their ankle. Mm-hmm. And so it was showing up in this life from that life. And so whatever they were able to do they were able to do some work in that life because while they were under hypnosis. Mm-hmm. And so once they came back to this life, the pain was gone. So we're able to move within, the parallel universes, and there are rules and all of that stuff to that. So if you're going to do that kind of work, know what you're doing. Like, make sure you get somebody that knows how to educate you how to do that kind of stuff. But it reminds me of, like, one of my brothers is afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid of falling. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling. But I've done some past life regression work to where one of the lives I was a white male and I committed suicide. I jumped off of a high rise. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, maybe that fear of falling came from that experience or whatever. And, with my brother, I don't know because I don't think he believes in past lives. So I wouldn't know as far as why he's afraid of heights. Right. But it makes me think of, there's a movie called I, Origin. Mm-hmm. And it's where this scientist, he's researching people's eyes. And he says that nobody's eyes are alike. Mm-hmm. Just like they say, our fingerprints are unique. Right. And so what he does is he uses it to be able to tell if people are coming back, if reincarnation is a real thing. And so it's a really cool movie. Some people, I think it got low ratings. I loved it, me personally, but it's one to check out. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely, it sounds familiar. I think, like, now that you explained it a little bit more, or I didn't catch the first go round when you explained it, but I think I remember where, when you say the eyes, you could, and tie it back to, like, past lives. I think I remember seeing, like, a trailer for it. I think I've seen a trailer for it, and then so I'll definitely go check that out. We can probably use that as a means for a show in the future. So we can segue over to the last segment 3, affairs with the spirit. So visualization and reincarnation. So what would a world look like if our people believed in reincarnation instead of the belief that you die and go to heaven or hell? What does that look like? I'll start. You want me to start?
What does it look like?
As you said before, freedom, freeing us from the fear of death, and that wouldn't be an issue. I can use the current situation with, like with the protest and the police brutality, systemic racism and things like that. The fear of death, I've heard this in several conversations, that we're scared to die, because if we weren't scared to die, then it'll be a totally different outcome being played out right now. So it's like, so if we were taught reincarnation instead of the belief of heaven and hell, and you wait to go to heaven and hell, and heaven and hell is merely a state of mind, that you can tap in and have heaven on earth, or you can have hell on earth. And we've been taught to believe that suffering is the thing, hence why we are experiencing.
Say it again.
Suffering is the thing.
I'm so sick of hearing. I am so sick of hearing people talking about suffer and suffer well.
Right. Programming.
What that mean?
Well,
what that mean?
That could definitely
if
mean.
I'm supposed to suffer, God wouldn't be breathing me right now.
He wouldn't be what?
Breathing me. Like my lungs working on their own. My heart working on its own. I don't have to do none of that. I can walk around this planet with ease. You want to know why?
Why?
Because infinite intelligence created the law of gravity. So it's like, where did this suffering come from?
Who implanted that into our subconscious mind, and then it's playing out as it is, the suffering. So it's like, yeah, if we were conditioned to believe reincarnation, again, freedom frees us from the fear of death. It frees us from the belief that heaven and hell are places you go eternally after you die. So it ushers in an understanding that heaven and hell is merely a state of mind, as I just said. And then lastly, we would have more of an understanding and purpose that needed to be carried out in life. So a lot of us are just walking around, just floating through life, going to work every day, taking care of your kids, trying to get the house on the hill, the car, the latest car, latest fashion, pretty much staying within the material world of what the American dream. I'll put it under that construct of the American dream. So it's like, if we were programmed from jump, generations, not just this lifetime, to take on reincarnation as a belief and understanding past lives, then it's like that opens the door for you to have more purpose with your life. So for you to say like, okay, what am I here to do this lifetime? And then it quickens it accelerates the journey of growth and evolution, because you're here to do this, not over here to, to buy the bar out and, spend money and try to make $1 million and all this and all that. It's like, okay, this is what I'm here to do. And then to take it a step further, now, this is something that they had us do at the School of Metaphysics. Now, if you're not wanting to go the route of, at this point of, doing, getting a reading to, get past lives, get your past life, or to do past life regressions and things like that, they had us do an assignment called Soul Purpose, where you sit back and assess why you chose to come down in this lifetime and choose the parents that you have, the year that you were born, the date and the year that you were born, the city that you were born in, your gender, and then your race. So that helps to, that's like I guess you can say that's like a beginner stage to begin to assess and be able to see what your purpose is this lifetime. Because as we were taught, before you incarnate in this lifetime, your soul assesses and says, okay, this is what I need to learn. So what would be the ideal conditions to create these lessons for me to learn what I need to learn in this lifetime? So it's like, okay, you choose your parents, you choose your place of birth, the city that you were born in, or the country that you were born in. You choose the date and the year that you were born. You choose your race, and you choose your gender. And then once you really sit with that and really see what comes of that, then you begin to work. You start to see what lessons lie ahead of you and begin to work with that to level up and begin to fulfill your purpose. So I will post that, because I still have mine, the paper that I wrote in regards to that. So I'll post that on the Space is the Place Facebook page so where people can actually read it and see what I got from it. So what did you want to say?
Well, I was going to ask, what do you suggest though for those who don't believe that? Because there are people that believe, you know, I wouldn't have chose this. Like I wouldn't have chose to be born into whatever. Like some people may have been molested or, you know, raped at a young age, you know, whatever it was that they experienced. So not everybody believes that. So what do you suggest as far as just the whole concept, like maybe even still looking into what their purpose is, what they could, how they could view this life and how to use this life to the best of their ability.
Right. I can say they can just take a simple situation in their life and just break that down. Because at the end of the day, it's teaching yourself how to go deeper and look beyond the surface of what you're experiencing. Now, yeah, you're right. Doing the soul purpose assignment might be a bit too much because your belief might be like, hey, why I wouldn't have chose this. So it's like, okay, well, let's start with something like let's take something that's happening in your life currently. Like, okay, why is my boss like this? Why did I attract this job? And then begin to break that down. And then as you begin to have like insights and pull from that, then you can begin to take other situations. And then that becomes a like, oh, wow, I'm getting a lot from this. I'm seeing like, wow, okay, I see why or how I created this. So then that could possibly, now you say you might not even get to that point of doing the soul purpose or even just doing the past life, but it's something that you can use to reassess and reevaluate your life currently in different situations that you're experiencing currently. And then you can just work back over the years and begin to see like, why was I in this relationship? Okay, well, why was this? Okay, I had this bad car accident over here. Why was that? And then you start to connect the dots. So,
you know, for me, I think what made it easy, like, well, me personally, I had already had past life experiences. So when somebody explained that to me, it was like, oh, okay. Like it wasn't a big deal for me. But I think what really stands out as far as me embracing the concept is it makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel like, because if I chose it, then I'm not a victim. Whatever it was that happened to me, whether somebody sexually assaulted me or I was molested, I'm not a victim because I pre-chose it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So for me, that's what really stands out. That makes it, I guess, easy to accept. As well as of course, I had my own experiences where it was like, oh, this makes sense. That explains so much versus why did I have that experience? What was that about? Like, so yeah, it validated a lot as far as what I was already experiencing anyway. So
yeah, it puts the ball in your court and it gives you the power to be, as they said, the School of Metaphysics, to be a conscious creator. Because now that I see patterns, just like I said, with me assessing, me not wanting to take on other people or be responsible to past a certain degree with people, now I can take that and say, okay, if I don't want that, what do I want? And then what do I need to create around that, opposed to just me continuously going through the cycles of life, experiencing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, to where it's like, you're either going to get tired or you're going to create ailments within your body to where you pretty much just get sick and pass on without learning the experiences or learning from the experience to create different.
But that's what I love about the reincarnation, the continuance of consciousness. The stream of consciousness continues because it's like, okay, say I get tired and it's just like, you know what? I'm done. You get a do-over.
But does your soul want to do over?
Look, that's between you and your soul. You gotta decide that.
You
You
are the
gotta make
soul.
it.
You are the soul.
I'm
You
just
are the
saying.
soul.
I'm just saying. Me, look, I ain't trying to look. I'm gonna get this. I came here for this. Okay, I'm gonna figure it out.
So you're gonna be
That's me personally.
so you're gonna be Lahoma Schwarzenegger, like I'll be buck. Like, yeah, I'll just come do it. I'll do it later. Procrastination on a whole different level. I'll just do it next lifetime. I don't feel like doing it right now. This lifetime.
Next lifetime. Ain't that everybody do?
Yep.
See you next lifetime.
I'm not gonna see you because I'm trying to ascend to the next level, trying to get to the other dimensions. I'm tired. I'm tired of the third dimension. Well, we are supposedly we are in the fifth dimension, or we're in elevating to the fifth dimension. So it's like we're already there. So I can't be waiting to ascend, and then everybody's gonna be stuck on the third. So hence why we're going through what we're going through now.
Frogs or lizards
Huh?
chilling on the. I said we gonna be frogs or lizards chilling in a pond.
No, I plan to be an entity on a whole different plane, operating on a different level of existence.
You said an entity. That sounds like
I mean, like we spirits. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be on it, because the human form is just for the third density, for the third dimension. So it's like if we go to a different dimension, you might not have the same construct, this body, this meat suit as they call it. It might be a different way of moving around.
this beef suit.
So yeah, so it's like, hey, yeah, we'll see each other another lifetime, because that's just how we cross paths. You know, the souls pretty much come from different star systems. There's families in regards to your soul, while you pretty much cross paths with certain people because, hey, you've crossed paths before.
I would love to do a family reading with my family. I would love to do, because man, the dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Now, do Brian and Golbahar do the family? Do they do the family readings?
I don't recall them saying that they do family. If I remember the email that they sent, I don't remember seeing family on there.
Okay. Because I know School of Metaphysics did it. I've done a past life crossing through the School of Metaphysics with a friend, and then I've had 2 past life readings. No, I had one past life reading, and then I had a health analysis with the School of Metaphysics. So, like I said, stuff they break down and when I don't say reveal, they give you, it's like, nah, I can't. You can't make this stuff up. You got to experience for yourself, but don't take my word for it. Experience for yourself or do the research. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I can't deny it.
Right.
So, anything else you would like to share before I wrap it up?
Good talk.
All right. All right. So that concludes today's show. This is season number 1, episode 2, entitled "Past Lives Matter" in the Melanated Experience. So, where we discussed segment 1, becoming a new being or a new being or a Nubian, our past life crossings, our reading with Lahoma and I, what we gathered from it, as well as how we applied what we learned. That took on a whole different shape in regards to that conversation. Segment 2, we talked about going beyond us. We talked about past lives and shifting the consciousness, and the shifting of past lives and shifting the consciousness of our people, past lives for empowerment of our people, and then past life memories, identity shifts, and rejecting labels as we see it today. And then lastly, segment 3, affairs with side spirit, visualization, and reincarnation. So join us next week for episode number 3, entitled "Curse Words. Don't Let Them Curse You," where we'll discuss the power of words and how they can be used as tools to keep us in lower vibrations, or how you can use them to level up into the higher vibrations. Also check out Space is the Place podcast, the only podcast that raises your vibration through alien art, spiritual slang, and electric ego, so that dark magic becomes the new norm so that we can move strong. So where you can find us, this show is a part of the Space is the Place network. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just type in @Space is the Place. That is SPASE. SPASE is the place. Once we surpass 1,000 followers and subscribers that are truly supporting our cause, we'll break off and create our own platform for a new day with ANU BEY. All right. So, in closing,
Always create a new day with ANU BEY.
touche, and never lose faith, because what you say matters, just like past lives.
Word.
Right? All right, so peace. I'm Khem Key.
Lahoma JeFaye.
And we are ANU BEY. Thank you.
And we out this piece. Yo, it's ANU BEY, and it's the conscious way. Yo, it's ANU BEY, ANU BEY. We've got the tools to free your mind. So come on, it's time to shine. Be ANU BEY. We've got the healing that you want. So come on, create your life with ANU BEY.